Hello YouTube, and welcome to part 2 of update 8. As I said at the end of the last update, at the end of the first part of the update, I've split this update in half, which I didn't originally intend to do. So this part of the update is going to be on Millington, and the last part of the update was on Rutton, as hopefully you will have just seen. And if you haven't seen, link will be on screen now. So yeah, let's get on with it. I showed you this side earlier, just briefly, looking at other stuff. I can't even remember what now. But yes, so you'll remember, I remember roughly what it was. It was the cottages now. If I move these buildings out of the way, you'll remember there were 2 cottages there, something like that. And they looked okay, but I decided against them. So now these are going up here. Sorry, can't move the camera and move them at the same time. And there's going to be a sort of farm slash something there. Anyway, so back down here, for Christmas, we got 2 new buildings, which are really nice. Hornby scaled out, both of them. I'll just give you a quick shot of each. We have one which is the corner shop, and the reflection of that. Which is obviously a corner shop, and then it has windows on the back, so obviously you put it like that, and then that side can go on your backboard. So then we have the model shop, obviously the model shop, which is full of Hornby models in the front there, being a Hornby scale down. Obviously the sides are, can be part of a terrace. Obviously the end of a terrace, because on the other side we have loads of windows. We have blanked out windows, which are quite nice, because obviously the sort of inside the model shop there'll be shelves or something up against there, so that makes it quite realistic. And then there's some sort of, I don't know if it's meant to be an extension, but the end bit, that gives it a nice bit of character, etc, etc. Details could go on all day, but yeah, it's a really good little building. The only thing is the brickwork, as you can see there, it's a bit sort of leopard skin, which I don't like, but that will be up against the building. That's where it's most noticeable, so that'll be up against another building. The other thing is, it's got sort of gothic architecture thingy bit at the front, which is quite nice, because that matches the station building, if I bring it across. You can see that's got the same sort of thing on it. So if we have several buildings in the area that match, that's going to be quite good, I think. So the main change I've actually done here, apart from taking away the cottages and getting 2 new buildings, is, you remember, well, you won't remember probably, but this road here was only as wide as this little speed bump is. So it was, probably the building in the way there, you can see it was only that wide, so I've virtually doubled the width of the road, because it was way too thin, and it came straight down and then carried straight on. If I move that out of the way, you'll be able to see it comes across there, and that's where it did live. Well, the road, how can that live there? But that's where the road did go, and I didn't like it, because A, it was too thin, and B, the junction was a funny angle. So I've doubled the width of it. I now need to make a new speed bump, and that's going to come down, and as you can see, it now curves around and comes out a nice right angle, which gives me the perfect place to put this, because obviously this is right angles, and if the shop was still, if the road still carried straight on, the shop wouldn't fit properly, which was again half the reason I did it. So yeah, that's given me the opportunity to completely regenerate this area over here. But we're going to get shops, there'll be backyards, and this will also be another right angle, and that pavement will stop about there and then cross over or something. Yeah, actually probably stop there. I'm now making this up as I go along, but yeah, that's something to look out for in the future. So it's not happening currently, not much is happening at the moment. That's because currently that area is being regenerated. So I've just come across here now, Obviously the station's just here, so this is the station yard. And where we've just come from, you're now looking straight down the tripod, but there's the park, and the corner shop is, you can just about see because there's virtually no light. There's the corner shop there. So all a bit hidden from the angle we were just at, but when you're standing at eye level, this yard is quite, I don't know what the word is, visible. So I've been playing about with this for years. It's probably the most changed part of the layout, which has changed at least every year, sometimes every few months, and drastically. But what has basically happened first is the track plan has changed. So what I've done here was the siding for the goods shed was coming out right over here. So the goods shed was further forward, and it was 180 degrees. So the canopy was facing away from us. So the best side was not visible. And the other thing was, whenever anything was in this platform, you can get in or out of it. So it was completely unusable half the time. As a result, very little got shunted. I ended up just taking wagons on and off the layout by hand all the time. So I've now moved it so that it's further back and it comes off over there. That has meant that this point was an express point, and now had to be a tighter radius to allow it all to fit. But it's okay. The diesel locos do struggle. They slow right down because it's second radius or something, but yeah, they're okay. And obviously it's far improved because now I can actually use the goods shed. So if we come back here, what that has meant is the goods shed yard is now all on this side. So I've moved the fence around here. This is the ratio fence, I think. Ratio LMS white or something it is. So if you search for that on Google, you can find it. And yeah, I've basically moved everything so it's here. And I've made what I think is quite a nice little yard. Obviously it'll probably change quite a bit first before anything is finally finished. But yeah, there'll be ballast. Once it's ballasted, the ballast will come up right across here where it's brown. That's painted in preparation for mud. So obviously we can have bits of ballast that are patchy and go through to mud. And the rest of it, the groundwork, well, the tarmac colour is pretty much done. So that's been painted a nice light grey, and then have bits of ballast added in, and it's all been sanded down, and yeah, that's quite nice now. What I've done at the end is with the same stone walls I mentioned at the very beginning, which were funny. What, these ones I got for Christmas? Say corner section, if I can get in shot. Ooh, there it is. So there you go. They're quite nice. They're not the Hornby Scaledale ones. They're a different make thingy. I don't know. I got them in bubble wrap, but I don't really care because they're quite nice, and as long as they look good, I don't care where they come from. They are a different shade. What I didn't mention earlier is they're a different shade. Here's a Hornby Scaledale one, and this is one of the Christmas ones. They're a different shade, so I can't put them together, and they're slightly different sizes. But it doesn't matter, because I didn't need to put them together. They were for little extra bits like this, which don't go with any of the Hornby Scaledale walls. So we've got a gate just here, and then walls going off, and there'll be a bit of a sort of scrap area, rubbish type thing here. Then in this bit here, outside the walls, there's going to be a sort of car park. And then we're getting on to stuff that's not owned by the railway, which there isn't much of on this side of the layout. Obviously that's why I'm trying to build a high street, and that's why I've decided to put the old cottages here to build a sort of farm thing, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, this is a old cottage which I've had in the layout for a while. You might remember it was where the terraced house there is. Ooh, that's my finger. There is now. But it's actually meant to be. This is actually meant to be a money box. As you can see, the money goes in there. But if you keep that side hidden and keep it out of places where it's going to reflect loads of light, because if you can see, it's a bit glossy. So it'll probably end up with a coat of matte varnish one day. But it is a very nice little cottage. So that's going to go there and have its sort of garden thing right in the shadow back here. As you can see, the little tunnel that was there that hadn't been restored, that is going to be, well, it has been taken away. And I don't know if I'm going to put that back, because it didn't really fit, that it was sort of flat and then went straight up. There wasn't really any hill around it to suggest anything, so I'm probably going to leave it just as sidings rather than saying that the line originally went off in that direction before it was restored, because obviously I'm restoring a heritage line, for those of you who don't know. So coming forward, the terrace house is now here. This is just a card kit that my dad built up for us a few Christmases ago, which is quite nice. It's obviously low relief, so it has to go up against the wall, and I think I found the perfect place for it now. And those two there mean that the road now comes in at an angle, which is quite nice because it's always come in here and it's been a bit boring. So it now comes at an angle, which obviously sort of gives the impression a bit more that it goes off. I might get a back scene one day to go on here, but for now that's slightly better. Obviously the roads haven't been painted yet. That's one of my next jobs. Once I've made the traffic islands made of matchstick so far. Here is one, and there's going to be two traffic islands. Here's one little thing, one here and one triangular one there, and that's just going to be for crossing the road. And you need to cross the road there because there's going to be a roundabout here. So the only roundabout on the layout, I'm still experimenting with it. I'm trying to get the right size and all sorts at the moment. So yeah, it's going to take quite a bit of experimenting. But I'm going to do a basic painted on road white one. But I'm not actually going to paint it. I'm going to use my standard technique of paper for road markings. As you can see, this is layers of paper to sort of get the hump. Because if you remember the well, if you've seen roundabouts and looked at them painted on roundabouts, they do have a sort of lump in the middle. So they're painted over something, and I'm not really sure what, but I'm trying to replicate that. So this has all been measured, yeah, as I was just saying. It's all been measured, so even overscale buses like this, which is way too big, still fit around it. Which I can't do one-handed, but yeah, they all fit. So the bus fleet has just been moved down here for now. That's not staying there. I think the bus fleet is... There's still going to be a bus route, and there'll be buses en route around the roads. It probably won't be these buses, because as you can see, they're way overscale. And I'm failing here at getting the light on, there we go. They obviously got really fake wheels. They're basically toys is what they are. They're my old toys, but they've served well on the layout for a very long time. So these are going because the water tower, you'll remember a long time ago, if you were subscribed that long ago, there was a Hornby track mat water tower, which I've been sort of rebuilding very slowly for the last year or so. I do a bit on it about once every 6 months, so I'm not doing very well at that. But one day I'll get round to it and do it properly, because I'm sort of adding details and redoing it, and as I'm doing that, I'm filming a how-to on it. So when I finish that in about 10 decades time, 10 decades, what am I talking about? Century. A few centuries time then, when I finish that, that will go here, and that's when these buses will come off. I'll then get some more scale heritage buses, so we'll get an RT, an RF, that sort of thing. And they'll be running the heritage bus route to go with the heritage railway, as most heritage railways have a heritage bus route. God, that was a bit of a mouthful. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the station yard and what's happening at the moment. The one last thing that remains to be said is the newsagent shop thing, which is another one of these really basic card kits. I've moved that to here, which I also quite like. Those of you who know the Epping Ongar Railway down in Essex will know that at the station of North Weald there is on the side of the house, not house, sort of station building house thing, there's a garden much like this, which is a wall on the car park station bit side and comes right up to the platform. So I thought that's quite nice to have a bit enclosed between the two buildings. So I'm definitely going to keep that, whatever I replace this building with, because obviously this is just another little basic card kit. So it will be replaced at some point. So the only other thing that's happened in this massive area type bit of Millington is over here. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've been having wars with Flexi-track. That is here, and in a few other tiny places on the layout, but they weren't as bad as here and here. Now, as I haven't really mentioned before, the corners that were here were set track. This one was a second radius curve, this was a third radius, and neither of them really fitted properly. So, for Christmas, I got some Flexi-track, which was Pico, and I picked it out of the model shop myself. You can see it in my right hand, I've just picked it up. Here's what's left of it. As I cut it up, it was all ready to go in, and I went to put it in only to find it didn't fit. Being code 75, without me realising. So it was code 75 without me realising, which meant I've had quite a steep learning curve in the world of codes, of track codes. So obviously, for those of you who know, I'll tell you anyway in case you don't know, code 75 has a lower rail than if you have code 100, which is what all the standard track is and what my layout is. Code 100 track has a slightly overscale to high rail. The length from here to here, on code 100 that is overscale, whereas on code 75 it is supposedly to scale. What that means is they're non-compatible. If you try and connect them, the code 75 there'll be a step down from the code 100 to the 75. So obviously it's going to cause problems and you're going to get derailments and all sorts. So I went out after Christmas and I bought some more Flexi-track, that being what is here now. So this is Hornby's standard code 100 semi-flexible track. I went through everything and made sure it was exactly what I wanted that time. And what I then found was it was really, really hard to try and get the right radius on it. So that I've been playing around with for ages. However, it is better than what I did have. And that is these two. These are, as I said a minute ago, set track. As you can see, these really don't fit. Now it's all being moved around, especially this third radius one, which is, if I line that up at that end, completely off over here. I got some semi-flexible track to fill it. And it didn't really fit properly. We put it down, cut it to the right length and stuff, and then tacked it in, and trains would come along and then slow right down, and then speed up, and then slow right down, and do that sort of thing as they came along. Purely because the radius was too tight, or there was a kink in the track at the joints or something. And in the end, this was the best we could get. So, as you can see, there are a few little gaps around the place. However, it's a lot better than it was, as I just said. All in all, the Flexi-track was a saga that lasted about 2 weeks, a little bit more than that. So no trains actually got to run on the layout for quite a while, just after Christmas, because all of this right along here was taken up, just to try and move it all around, because there was at one point we were going to move the points of the second radius point here going onto there and some stuff like that, but we did manage to get it to fit as it was, with the express point here and the three shorter points here. So that's all for this update. Just quickly, because I filmed this update over several days, this platform here is now finished. Well, finished to some extent. All of the painting that I was doing earlier, that's now finished. We've had a top coat put on, and I'm just putting some fence on, which is the same fence that was used for the side crossing of the level crossing. Turn the lamp around. This little side crossing that I mentioned earlier, with the gravel, this fence here, and the same fence as in the car park right over there, which I'm redoing. So that is the Pico, no not Pico, they're owned by Pico, Ratio. That's the Ratio LMS white station platform fence or something it's called. Look that up on Google and you'll find the stuff. So I've just got this little piece left here to glue on. Obviously the first piece is in place, and I think it's, if I turn it around so you can actually see it, I think it's really enhanced the look of the station. The steps will be repainted so they look like concrete, because the paint has obviously come over and there's a bit of a leak there and all sorts, so just the top step there will be repainted in the same light concrete grey. There'll be a tiny bit of touching up here, just because that's just because, as you can see, there's the perfect sort of non-painted or touched, and then there's the bit of filler, which was the gap in the platform. So that will be repainted and just touched up a little, and then yeah, once this is glued on, it will all be fine. So we'll source a station building for this at last, which may be one of these cottages, I don't know, because that does seem to fit quite nicely there. So if I repaint one of those cottages, that may become the station building, I don't know yet. I may buy a completely new Hornby scaled out perfect little building. So yes, there you go. In other news, the one other thing is the surprise gift from Hornby for the Collectors Club magazine came the other day. So if you haven't seen that, head back to my channel, and you'll find that just a few videos back from this one. It's called Collectors Club magazine edition 103 or something. So yeah, that's that will be having a video on it soon. Another video coming up soon will be a running video of all 3 locos that I got for Christmas. That was requested by MI Rail, so it's a really nice channel, go check them out. So yep, that'll be coming up soon. So yeah, lots to come, and that's pretty much it for this update. So thanks for watching, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon, so bye!